Don't mind me with my clicker. It is for the teleprompter. It will be okay. But my perfectionism really wants to tell me that it's not going to be okay that you see a clicker. I just started reading The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. Wow. And she was like a sit-in therapist at Google. Which Google? Wasn't mine. I'm gonna need... Let's get cozy, dude. I am in my sweatpants and t-shirt today because it's been a day or 3. So we're here. That's all that fucking matters. Hey friends, I hope you're doing well and having a great day so far. We're back, baby. Today, we're gonna talk about the second part of the codependent self-esteem patterns. I'll be sharing what these patterns mean, how they've shown up in my life, and some tips and tricks that helped me and others work through them. As always, a warning that I am not a licensed professional. I'm sharing these patterns based on my own experiences and what I've learned along the way. Take what resonates with you and feel free to leave the rest. If you're looking for professional support, there's a link in the description that can help you find it. Let us discuss. First pattern, have difficulty admitting a mistake. A lot of codependent people struggle with admitting mistakes. This pattern often stems from a fear of rejection or criticism, believing that if we admit a mistake, we'll be seen as unworthy or incompetent. For me, this was definitely tied to the way that I was raised. Growing up, I felt like my mistakes weren't seen as normal or okay. Instead, they seemed to reflect poorly on my parents. I'd get reprimanded, not supported. This taught me that making mistakes wasn't safe. It meant risking love and acceptance. One of the first steps to work through this is learning to separate your self-worth from your actions. Remind yourself that making mistakes is human. It doesn't mean you're unlovable or incompetent. Try to reframe mistakes as learning opportunities, not as reflections of your self-worth. We're changing up a little bit. I'm gonna go back to like a little bit of scripted, a little bit of ad-libbing, because I think that's where the sweet spot is. What? So this is still a challenge for me. When it comes to making mistakes, I've had to do a lot of work around untying the knots of the beliefs of making mistakes is not normal and there is nothing good or positive that comes out of mistakes. Along with that, it comes the reparenting part. If something wasn't filmed perfectly, or if I forget something, it used to send me over the edge. And there were moments where dropping something in public, it's making my body sweat right now, and like fear start to surface. And I have to turn around and be like, no, it's okay. People drop things all the time and the world still spins. And I know that a lot of your programming is built around fear to keep you perfect and not making mistakes. But that's not human, and we're not a robot. You know, really bringing a lot of compassion to my inner child and my inner teen, and also to my adult self. I've still just been working a lot with reparenting around mistakes and being vulnerable with myself, because that's where it all starts. If I can be okay with myself making mistakes, then I can be okay with anybody really seeing my mistakes. It really takes a lot of small steps and being mindful and aware of when the feelings come up of low self-worth and incompetence because of a mistake. I have just been programmed for so long to repress those feelings, so I have to really be aware of it more than I ever have. Final thing on that is I think I had to really do a lot of reframing about how mistakes teach lessons, because I was not taught that. That's my experience of this one. All right, next pattern is need to appear to be right in the eyes of others and may even lie to look good. The need to always appear right often comes from a fear of judgment or rejection. Codependent individuals might think that being seen as wrong means that they're unworthy or undeserving. This can lead to defensiveness, people-pleasing, and a lot of self-doubt. I definitely used to feel this way. I'd go out of my way to make sure I looked good to everyone, even if it meant bending the truth or avoiding vulnerability. There was this need for validation that I had to satisfy daily. Likes on social media or praise at work. I didn't believe I was enough on my own. My tip for moving through this pattern is to start practicing vulnerability in small ways. It's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to show that to others. You might find that people respect you even more when you're honest. Building self-worth internally rather than depending on external validation can help lessen this need. man, I was super, super opinionated. Like, I clung to those opinions like they were life source to me. And about really dumb shit. Like, types of music. Like, I don't like Taylor Swift. And I have gotten into debates about how her music sucks with people who are huge Taylor Swift fans. And like, that hour of my life is gone. And it doesn't matter. Like, I didn't convince that person to stop listening to Taylor Swift. They didn't convince me to start listening to Taylor Swift. You know, it was just a debacle to have one or something. It's not my job to change anybody. It is my job to speak my truth and to accept things. That's really hard. Social media has made us cling to our opinions even more tightly. We've gotten so involved in other people's lives, like way too much. It's like social media opened the door for us to stick our nose, our whole entire head, into somebody else's fucking business. We have used social media as a diversion and a distraction to not have to only focus on our lane. Next pattern is are unable to identify or ask for what they need and want. A lot of us with codependent tendencies struggle with identifying or expressing our needs. We might not even know what we want because we've been so focused on others. This disconnection can lead to frustration, resentment, and burnout. I grew up deprioritized, like my needs were less important than those around me, and that it's selfish to have them. I didn't even feel like I deserved to express my wants. Over time, I learned to people please to avoid the vulnerability of asking for anything. To reconnect with your own needs, try journaling. Write down what you feel and what you want in small, specific terms. Practicing self-awareness and allowing yourself to ask for things, no matter how small, can help rebuild your confidence in expressing your needs. I struggled to correct people at a restaurant if I got the wrong food. I'm pretty sure that I can count a handful of times where I was brought the completely wrong food and was too afraid, insecure, and overwhelmed to tell the server that it was the wrong food. When the server comes back and they see that not really any of the food was eaten, they're like, was everything okay? And I would make up excuses of like, yeah, I just wasn't hungry in the end. I just got like a hot sweat of thinking about doing that. That's like where I started small. You know, even if it takes me sitting there for a while, I'm gonna do it. And really, truly one of the hardest things I've had to do. All right, next up, perceive themselves as superior to others. For some, seeing oneself as superior can be a defense against deeper insecurities. It's a way to protect against feelings of unworthiness. This pattern often involves judging or feeling disconnected from others as a way to avoid vulnerability. I remember going to a retreat where I felt like I had to be the most experienced person there. I judged others to keep myself safe, to avoid admitting that I felt insecure in this unfamiliar setting. Challenge yourself to connect with people on a deeper level by listening to them without judgment. Remind yourself that everyone has something to teach you. Humility and openness can help break down the walls that superiority builds. The first thing that came to my head was when I started going to Coda meetings. I couldn't really find one that felt the best for me. It was because I was judging people. Like, I was judging people for having the same disease that I have. I remember talking to my therapist about that and just being like, how am I going to get anything good out of being guided by someone who's just as ill as me? Something about the mindset that I was in that day that I was just open. My best friend was in the room, and her sharing at the end of the meeting, it was like she was reading from my book, and a lot of things clicked for me. She has taught me so much. Like, she's helped me grow. That's what happens, baby. All right, finally, the last pattern is codependent people often look to others to feel safe rather than building an internal sense of security. This reliance can stem from childhood experiences or a lack of self-trust, leading us to constantly seek reassurance or support. For a long time, I didn't feel safe alone. I needed someone to lean on because I didn't trust my own instincts. Working on self-trust is key here. Try doing small things on your own that challenge your sense of independence. Start with simple decisions and gradually work your way up to bigger things. As you build self-trust, your need for external external reassurance will begin to lessen. This whole decision to travel the US and really start getting myself out there has been a hugely independent decision, but it felt really empowering that the decision was in my hands. Before recovery, there wasn't even a table to put decisions on. I had to run them by everybody. Yeah, these patterns are deeply ingrained and they're not easy to overcome overnight. But with self-awareness and small, consistent actions, you can break free from codependent behaviors and build healthier relationships with yourself and others. Remembering to bring along self-kindness, compassion, and care along for the journey with a dash of patience for normal slip-ups. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if you related to any of these patterns or if you found ways to work through them that I didn't mention in this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos on codependency, personal growth, and wellness. Also, check out all of the links in the description below. Until I see you again next time, be well, friends.